Hi, Samantha. Hi, Barbara. Hi, Alex. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Laura. Hi, Paula. Hello, Zach.
Hi,
How are you guys?
great. How are you?
I am good. I'm frozen. It's like a massive 5-day blizzard here in Denver. And after all the warm climates I was in, I was like, hey, it's winter.
It's a blizzard here too. It was like 68 degrees yesterday. It was a nightmare.
Yeah, we have like a foot of snow and it's like tin, but hi, Violet. Hi, Ken. Hi, Sherry. Hi, Lars. We're gonna get started here in like just a minute. Hi, Jack. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good to see you.
You. Hi, Susie. Hi, Rach.
Saver gives you so many ways to keep food flavorful and freezer burn free. Prep delicious meals way ahead of time. Even cook right in the bag.
Not quite sure what that was. All right, you guys, we are gonna go ahead, and because I want to honor Zach's time and just maximize the most that we can, I'm just gonna pop in with just a very, very few quick announcements. Hi, Ash, as some other people pop onto the call so that they hear all of his genius. But as you guys have probably been seeing the buzz, we have some amazing new products that are coming out. You guys are gonna be seeing those in the next couple weeks. So the collagen bone broth and the CBD oil, it's topical peppermint oil CBD. The best thing that I can encourage you guys to do is just start to get familiar with bone broth, with collagen, with CBD, so that you feel comfortable talking about it even before you can try it, and start to get to know your customers, start to get to know, I gotta mute all of you guys. Start to get to know like your following, get some polls out there, do some inquiries, find out if people are using CBD, what do they like about it. I mean, I just put something up on Instagram that was like, what's your favorite way to use CBD? I don't know anything about it, right? And people are like just messaging back like they want to teach you. Find out who uses bone broth, what's their favorite way. Today I went through a bunch of people of my personally enrolled and said, hey, we've got some things coming out. Long story short, the girl was like, I love Isagenix quality products, but I've never liked the taste of bone broth. And I said, you know what? A lot of people that don't use it to like steam rice with or steam vegetables in, that you get the nutrition, even if you don't love the flavor. And she's like, I never thought about it. Tell me when it's on the shelves, I'll order it. So you just start to like have some conversations with people. The holiday gift giving guide is coming out on the 4th. So that's next Monday. It's an amazing way for us to do some tasting parties, some launch parties, and be able to show people how they can use Isagenix products as stocking stuffers or fun little healthy gifts. NYKO is selling out. So I had a few friends that were trainers at ICU this weekend in Canada, and you guys, it's going to sell out. I cannot encourage you to have your team members get tickets or grab a couple extra so that you have them next month when it's sold out, to get some people there. And the last thing I just want to drip on, and then after Zach's done, I can stay on and answer your guys' questions. Our Healthy Through the Holiday, Be a Healthier You challenge is starting next Monday on the 4th. And our Christmas Cash, the promotion that we're doing for this team, is starting on the 1st. So stay tuned when Zach is done so I can go over those details with you. And with no further ado, I am super excited to introduce to you guys Zach Slobin, who is an Isagenix millionaire. He was Man of the Year for Isagenix. There are so many accolades that we could literally spend the next 45 minutes talking about how amazing and wonderful he is. But what I really want to tell you is that he has a huge heart. And I don't know anybody who's more vulnerable with where he's been and where he's going. Someone that is so giving and has created systems and tools that the entire company, age 18 to 91, uses. I remember my very first ICU and some of the acronyms that he laid out that I still use. Some of the systems about getting people paid before their box arrives. I mean, that credit goes to Zach and, of course, his wife, Eden. So it's an honor to have him on this call. You guys need to get your paper and pen out because there's going to be so much genius that you want to jot down and learn from. But before we get into tonight's topic, which is all about leveraging time, I want Zach to just introduce himself. And even though we know how amazing you are, some don't. Tell your story, a little bit about just how you got into Isagenix so they can get to know you.
Okay, for those of you that don't know how amazing I am, I'm not that amazing. So thank you for all of that. And I assure you, I am probably one of the dumbest smart people you'll ever meet in your life. I put my pants on left leg, then right, assuming in the morning I can remember which one is my left leg and which one is my right leg. So I'm about as normal as they get. I promise you that. And thank you for everything that you said, Lauren. This whole journey has been amazing, and one of the greatest gifts that Isagenix has given us has been the friendships, you know, and you being one of them. And we were talking about it. I remember the first time we met really and connected, you know, deeply was back on our very first ISA Derby in St. Thomas, which was 5 years ago now, which is just kind of mind blowing to me. And to see who you've become and the impact that you're making, and to watch you, you know, be a global keynote speaker at this last year's celebration filled me up in so many ways, because it was a long time coming for you to kind of bless the entire community with what so many of us as leaders have always been aware of your contribution and what you could deliver to the field. So I hope you all know, just those of you that are on this call and those of you that are watching the recording, I hope you guys recognize the leadership that you have in Lauren, and what a class act that she is, and that you should feel really, really empowered knowing that she's walking beside you, because in this business, mentorship makes a big difference for people. It really can make a huge difference, and you got one of the best. So just in the chat box real quickly, just show Lauren a little bit of your love, just real quick, because I bet she doesn't get it as much as she deserves. Just give Lauren a little bit of your love, just while we're doing that. And then what do you want me to answer? You want me to talk about what? My story? Is that what you said? Okay.
Yeah, just tell them a little bit, even like, you know, before Isagenix, like how you got into it, because it's really unique, and really just a little bit like about your journey over the last few years, that it doesn't happen overnight, you know, that it's not like in 30 days or one 90-day game plan that you're maxed out, and, you know, just giving them a little bit of like anything that just is naturally coming up to you tonight, the highs and lows, the growth, just things like that.
Sure. It's funny, people say like, oh, you're such an overnight success. And I say, that's the longest night of my life. You have no idea. My journey in network marketing actually starts about 14 years ago. I was introduced to a product offering by a business partner of mine, a mentor of mine. I was really averse to network marketing because I'd watched my dad try and do it when I was a teenager, and I kind of thought, I just kind of associated network marketing not being real entrepreneurship. And I was always going to be a business person. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 7 years old. I'm psychologically unemployable. The longest I've ever held a job is about 6.5 months. And that's not to take anything away from people that do have jobs, that have a steady, long career. For so many of you that do that, like I honor that, because I don't even like when Eden asks me to take out the trash on Sunday nights. And that's not an exaggeration. Every Sunday night is trash night. And every Sunday night, Eden, just being a wife and caring that the trash gets taken out, just wants to remind me that it's time to take out the trash. And it's like nails on a chalkboard. So anyway, I didn't believe that network marketing was a real business model. I was going to get into real business. I got into real business, and I learned a very quick and valuable $200,000 lesson in the world of entrepreneurship at about 23, 24 years old. That was the very first of many humbling business experiences that I've had in my life. Anyway, this gentleman takes me to look at this product. The product is fantastic. I'm really excited about it. Then they talk about distributing it through network marketing. I go into shutdown mode. And so he pulled me aside after seeing my body language, and I made it very obvious. I mean, I had gone from sitting at a table or a conference room table like this with a pen and paper to just physically going like this when they said network marketing. And he pulled me aside after the meeting and he said, listen to me. He said, you don't realize this yet, but you have the potential to be one of the most powerful network marketers I've ever met in my life. He said, go home and do your research on the profession. And if you really understand what it's all about and you still decide that it's not for you, then no big deal, we'll part as friends. And okay, that's Eden listening on another, that's funny. You're classic. Oh my God, hijacker. Eden's slogan, ladies and gentlemen, who's just listening in, knows our story so well that there she goes. That's the power of duplication in and of itself. Babe, you want to take over? Eden, you want to do the call? Dead? Me too. Classic. So, anyways, oh, you're the best. That's so great. Anyways, I go home and I start doing my research on real life for sure. Also, Eden is like the ultimate conversation hijacker. Like, she hijacks all of the combos. So that's totally fine. No problem saying that and putting you on blast, babe. So anyway, I love that you're watching. So I go home and I start doing my research on the network marketing industry, and I read the good, bad, and the ugly, but I come across a video that day. And I think, Lauren, this is what we'll get to in terms of one of the things I'm most passionate about talking about. And I get to this video talking about this idea of leverage and this idea of having the ability to earn off of the efforts of other people, as long as you're creating an environment in which everybody has equal amounts to gain. And knowing that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, knowing that I was familiar with Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, and knowing that I was looking to get to the business owner side of things and create leveraged income and things like that, I started to look at the business model of network marketing the way it was being just explained to me. And if you don't know what the cash flow quadrant is, I can even do a little demo at some point, Lauren, on this call or whatever. But what I saw was, okay, wait a minute. So this is a place where a person with no experience whatsoever, someone has entrepreneurial hopes and dreams, can get started for a very, very low cost of entry, right? Something that's not overly prohibitive. And they have the ability to distribute a product that will hopefully solve a problem. They can teach other people how to create wealth and success for themselves. But most importantly, what I saw was, while doing my research, I came across a statistic that said the divorce rate in the United States, and I have no idea if this is true or not, but I would bet that it is, that the divorce rate in the United States would be reduced by 50% with an additional $300 to $500 a month brought into the household. Now, when I read that statistic, that was the moment for me. That was the moment for me where I realized that this was the ultimate business model for me to participate in. And the biggest reason why is because that my parents divorced, because financially my dad just couldn't really, he had a business, he sold it, he made some bad decisions. Money was the biggest stress in my parents' life. And I just looked at that statistic and I said, well, maybe I can help the everyday person create that extra $500 a month. And if I can do that, then maybe, just maybe, I can help reduce that divorce statistic by a couple percentage points. And that made sense to me. And that was my first why. And to this day, it's my biggest why. So I got into that company, and 6 months later, the CEO took off with the money. I found myself with a lot of egg on my face. This was now 2 entrepreneurial endeavors in a row. And essentially my friends and family, they got really loud with the "I told you so," really loud with the "you got to stay away from that stuff," really loud with the "you just need to get a regular job," really loud with the "you should go back to graduate school," really loud with the, "if you're not careful, you're going to end up just like your dad," like really loud, really, really loud and really painful at the time. And I didn't listen, I didn't listen at all. I went out and I found another opportunity, all while supporting myself playing poker full time. For those of you guys that don't know that about me, it's a fun little fact that I used to pay my bills playing poker while building businesses and things like that. And I got into another company, and that company, believe it or not, was a $20,000 buy-in to get into that company, $20,000. And at the time I had about $300 to my name. So 20,000 might as well have been 20 million. But I caught the vision. I understood what was there. I had access to incredible mentors as a part of that opportunity. And I went on to make some really good money with that company. Unfortunately, that company was tied to the real estate market. So when the real estate market crashed, that company, along with my income and everything alongside of it, crashed as well. From that point on, I'd started to establish my reputation a little bit inside the network marketing profession as a social media guru. Facebook had just come out. There was very little information on it. I saw a real opportunity to help network marketers specifically learn how to use social media for business. And so this was 11 years ago. And that's what I started to do. And I started to get brought into companies to train their field, train their teams, train even their corporate staff on where social media was going and how to use it effectively so it was non-spammy, and teaching people how to build individual brands, and teaching the company how to build, a brand that supported its consumers and its associates and things like that. And I really enjoyed it. However, the problem for me was that I kept seeing behind the curtains of a lot of these companies. And I started seeing behind the curtains of a lot of these quote unquote leaders. And I became very, very disillusioned by not the business model of network marketing. I never stopped loving network marketing as a business model, but I became disillusioned by the people who made up the business the business of network marketing of the industry. And so I got out of network marketing completely. And my old best friend and I, we really pledged, like, you know, kind of like blood brothers, where we're like, we're never going back to network marketing, doesn't matter. And I was offered a lot. I was offered cars, money, positions to a lot of different companies. And I said no to all of them. And, you know, a couple of years after that, I was working out at the gym and I ran into a colleague of mine who I knew was with Isagenix, and she started talking to me about Isagenix and this, that, and the other. And I was like, look, I want nothing to do with the business. I'm really not interested. But I am open to getting on the products. And the reason I was open to getting on the products was I'd been in the gym 6 days a week. I was eating paleo at the time, all organic, super healthy, the whole deal. And nothing I was doing was getting me back into my peak physical condition of when I'd been a Division I level soccer player in college. So I got on Isagenix, and in a fairly expedient period of time, I dropped 20 pounds, 3 gene sizes, and I went from 15% to about 8.5% body fat. And the only thing that had changed was my nutrition. So when Eden and I first started dating, and I think she logged off now, if you know, I think she might have hopped off, but when Eden and I first started dating and I first took off my shirt, let's just say she was mildly impressed with my physique. And she wanted to know what I used for my nutrition, and I didn't want to tell her because I actually didn't want her to know that Isagenix was a network marketing company. So I was like, I just use these shakes. I have a wholesale account. Like, no big deal. I'll bring you some. Well, Eden is a hardcore clean eater, label ingredient junkie, hardcore ingredient eater, like ingredient label person. So she looks at the ingredients on the shake. She goes, this stuff's amazing. She starts using the shakes. Anyway, she's getting ready to go on a trip to Vietnam. And this is in December 2012. We've been dating for like 3.5 weeks. And she's worried about having access to clean food. So I said, look, take a box of shakes with you. That way you can always have at least one good clean meal. She says, great. So Eden goes to Vietnam. She's there for like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, has tons of energy, notices that her clothes are fitting a little bit more loosely. Well, her boss at the time wouldn't give her the day off when she traveled home from Vietnam. So after a 30-hour travel day back from Southeast Asia, her boss made her come straight from LAX. We were living in Los Angeles at the time, to go straight into her office. Just go like this if you've ever seen Devil Wears Prada. Just go like this if you've ever seen that movie, right? So I'm pretty convinced that Eden's former boss was Meryl Streep's inspiration for the role that she played in Devil Wears Prada, just to paint the picture for you guys of what Eden's working environment was like. However, that day she walks in, her boss looks at her and goes, you look amazing. How do you look so great after traveling all these hours? And she says, well, Zach has me on these shakes. I feel great. And her boss says, well, I'd like to try some. So Eden sends me a chat message and she goes, hey, my boss wants to try the shakes. And now I'm sitting here going like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? Like, I don't want her to know it's network marketing, and I certainly don't want to buy her boss a bunch of product. So I ignore her. Well, for those of you that know my wife or have met my wife or have seen videos of my wife, and those of you that haven't, all you got to do is just have one interaction of my wife, in person or virtually. My wife is a woman who, when she decides that she's going to get something, she's going to go get it, non-negotiably. Doesn't matter who's in her way. She's about her business. That's what I love about her. So Eden comes home. She puts her laptop in front of me and goes, hey, I went to the Isagenix website. I can't figure out how to order this stuff. My boss wants to try some. I know a bunch of my friends would love this stuff. What's the deal? And that's when the entrepreneur in me came out, and I was kind of like, well, how many of your friends would love this stuff? And she goes, I know a ton of people. Why? And I said, I've been really reluctant to share this with you, but Isagenix is a network marketing company. Like, I could barely even say it, right? And I kid you guys not, she slams me down on the table. I can't believe it. Tell me it's network marketing. I'm all about residual income. Who do I talk to next? So, yep, Paula, just like your face, that was my face, right? So it's like, on the one hand, the clouds part, the trumpets are blaring. Thank you, God. Confirmed, soulmate. I was already sure, but this like just cherry on top, okay? Then the other part of me is terrified, pooping my pants. No way in heck am I getting into business with her. I knew I was going to marry her. I understand how easy it is to get caught up in the hype of building an organization. No chance I'm going to be her business partner this early on, if ever at all. I say, look, I'm retired from network marketing. You go do this. I'll answer any questions that you have. I'll support you. I'm all about it. Like, go do your thing. Know that it's going to be hard, right? But if you want to go do it and mess around a little bit, make a little bit extra money, like, yeah, you should go do it. I didn't think she'd actually do anything. So she got on a full system, and she would go on to drop 12 pounds, 25 inches in 2 dress sizes. But she also made over $3,000 in her first essentially 2 months while working little pockets of her day, little 15-minute pockets here and there. Because at the time, she was working as a financial controller for a very large entertainment company in Los Angeles, making a healthy 6-figure income. She did well. But doing well, but just to be clear, 6 figures in Los Angeles really means nothing. To put it in perspective, Eden actually had to overdraft her bank account to afford her first 30-day system. We don't advise that necessarily. I just want you guys to be, so I struggle when sometimes I think people hear, oh, 6-figure income, somebody already has the money or don't need the money or whatever it is. We prejudge based on people's salary. So I just want you guys to hear that part. So anyway, some things happened in her job, and she knew that after 7 years of being there that her time was coming to an end. She knew that it was time to do something different. She was scared, though, because Eden didn't graduate high school. And so she, for years, thought about what else could I do, but she never took the leap because with not having a high school degree, her belief was no one would ever pay me a 6-figure salary like this family who kind of raised me and brought me into their company. No one's going to do that. What are the chances of me becoming that fortunate again? So she always kind of pushed aside other alternative opportunities. But when Isagenix came along, what she realized was that everything she'd been preaching about for years to her friends from a healthy living perspective was being delivered to people's doorstep in a box. And so gone were the days of her saying, like, go to the farmer's market and get all these vegetables to juice, and here's where you need to source your protein from, and here are the supplements you need to take and all that. And Eden, being a business-minded person, looked at it and said, this is genius. And when she had that revelation, she also decided to do some research, right? She also decided to do some research. And what that research led her to was a very famous conversation in the Slobin household when she came home to me one night and she said verbatim, look, dude, she goes, I Googled you. I know you're an expert at this. I've seen your videos. I've read your articles on network marketing. I haven't spent the last 10 years of my life looking for the man I want to be married to just to be separated by 13 or 14 hours a day doing things that we hate. What about when we have kids? I want to be able to travel together. I want to make an impact. Come do this with me. And in that moment, I saw that Isagenix had done something that I'd never seen previously in the network marketing space, and that's this. It's because we invest so much money into the research and science and development of products that actually work, and we combine that with a compensation plan that when worked with properly, and I'm happy to expand on what I mean there, when worked with properly, because of the generosity of the upfront bonuses, takes the average person with no experience whatsoever and puts them in a position to, quite frankly, earn that $300 to $500 a month extra simply based on customer acquisition, not including the residual that compounds over time. And so what I saw was this amazing formula, a formula that no other company that I'm aware of can produce, and it's this. It's E plus C equals R. It's emotional plus consumable equals residual. See, it's not just that Eden had an emotional response to her personal transformation on the products. It's that her entire network visibly and viscerally reacted to what she had experienced. And her body and her energy simply communicated from their perspective, I want that feeling. I want what you have. Very hard to communicate that with a lotion or a juice or a single supplement. It's impossible. There's a lot of explaining that has to happen there. But with Isagenix, because the transformation is so visible when you use a full system, it's so visible that there's no denying it. And then we look at it and we say the C part, it's consumable. Isagenix is just food. And would you all agree that whether the economy is booming or there's a recession or correction happening, that no matter what, people are going to eat food anyway, right? It's an anyway product. And we know that when people love something and it gets them the results that they've been looking for and they feel better than they've ever felt, what are they going to do? They're going to stay loyal to the brand as long as we do a great job from a customer service and education perspective. And they're going to keep ordering month after month after month. And that leads to residual. And that little formula is the foundation of how with Isagenix, we can create a cash flow producing asset so that you can make money while you sleep. Now, I know that was a little bit longer version of the story, so I apologize if I went longer than you had hoped I would. But I kind of wanted you guys to hear some of the details inside of it. And that was 6.5 years ago, and a lot of amazing people later. To say that we've been blessed and are grateful for Isagenix would be a vast understatement. There aren't enough words, not enough emotions, not enough tears in the world to describe or emit or evoke what this company and this community means to us and what it's done for our lives.
Oh my goodness. I feel like we could just like end the call right now, and there's so much information right there. I'm trying to type as fast as I can. And that last part is so true. I know so many people on this call know Kathy, even from when they first log in, and she introduces herself to, they've been at events or she's been a guest speaker on our calls. But I remember one of the very first times I spoke with her one-on-one, and she literally was summarizing what Zach just said about how they're so fired up. Like, I remember asking her, like, why are you still working? And she's, talks about because of the people's lives that are transformed and the amount of people that you've helped. And it's so fulfilling and it's so impactful that it's what makes this not feel like work. Because when you've been blessed this way, there's such an appreciation. Like, the only way to really absorb it, I feel like, is to keep giving it away and giving it away, because it's almost like too much to like handle yourself. And I just love that that's in everything where you kind of ended the story, because when there's people that get frustrated, if they can just remember that, that you are getting healthy, that these products have absolutely transformed your life, and you're just healthier and you're fitter and you're happier just from the nutrition. And if you've made one penny, $1 with this company, that's so much more than anything out there that you could be eating, right? That they're not going to reward you for. And it's so easy to get lost in what wasn't happened, that where you lose sight of what really has. And we've all been blessed in some way or another with Isagenix. So I love that you said that. So you guys, Zach is amazing at teaching leveraged income. I saw him do this at an Isagenix University. And when we were just in Grand Cayman 2 weeks ago, Janie Elo is amazing at just like pitting leaders down and picking their brains. And I saw her talking to Zach, and I tried to actually escape myself from the conversation because I was like, oh boy, this is one of those moments. But then at the end, you're grateful that you got drawn into it because there's just these 5 minutes of genius. But Zach was chatting, and this had been scheduled actually for Zach to do the team call for about 6 weeks. And he's like, what am I talking about? And I was like, we should talk about this. But I add a quick little video. Some of you have seen it. We put it in Start and Isagenix Business, and of course our team page, about leverage. But Zach, I would love for you to just take it away as long as you want to go and as quick as you want to be, and just really talk about the power of this. And for all of you, and I really hope you take some notes, this is one of the best ways to create vision for people without sending a compensation video, right? Which can be really overwhelming, but you're trying to show the picture of network marketing, of this business model, outside of talking about shakes, outside of selling BIA, right? Or having them watch Jim Coover and they don't even know what a binary is, just to get their eyes open to this type of business. So I'm gonna mute and just let you take it away.
Okay, right on. So thank you for that. So here's what I want everyone to understand. Lauren just said something so important. She said, instead of just selling BIA or selling a pack or just selling a one-off product, just type in the chat box, how many of you would love to have just a more solid residual check from Isagenix, whether it's $400 a month or $4,000 a month or $100,000 a month? Whatever. You just like to have a more solid residual or leveraged check. Okay, great. I hope the answer is me for everyone that's watching this. Okay, because that's why we play the game. The PIBs are amazing. They're generous. I highly encourage you to pursue getting double PIBs for a variety of reasons. But leveraged income is really why we play the game. And so if you want to create leveraged income for yourself, you've got to really understand the business model of network marketing and why network marketing puts you in a position, unlike many other businesses out there, to create that kind of leverage. So I'm going to show you something real quickly. Bye. All right. It's always good to have a giant whiteboard in your office. Can you guys see this okay? All right. So we talked about it earlier, okay? But this is what's known as the cash flow quadrant. Am I backwards, or is this reading correctly? I'm good? It reads left to right, it reads correctly? Okay. So for those of you guys that are not familiar with the cash flow quadrant, this was designed by a gentleman named Robert Kiyosaki. Now, Robert Kiyosaki is considered one of the foremost wealth guru experts that our generation has ever seen. And I'm going to keep this conversation very simple so I can move over to the next part here in a moment. But on the left-hand side of the quadrant, what you have is you have the employees and the self-employed, okay? And these are just the 4 different ways that any single human being that exists can generate money, okay? Just very simple. There's employed and self-employed. Now, on the left side of the quadrant with the employed and the self-employed, you have 95% of the population who make up 5% of the wealth. So 95% of the population is on the left-hand side of the quadrant. They have 5% of the wealth. Now look at the disparity. The right-hand side of the quadrant is only 5% of the population, and they control 95% of the wealth. Very simple rhetorical question. Do you want to be on the left side of the quadrant or the right side of the quadrant? You want to be on the right side of the quadrant. Well, what is it that business owners do that separates them from the left side? Well, self-employed people, for example, have 0 leverage at all. Meaning, my mom is a great example. So my mom is a very successful psychotherapist in Los Angeles. Okay, very successful. She does very well for herself, makes a nice living. The problem for my mom is that if she doesn't go into her office to see a patient, she doesn't get paid. Hairstylists, therapists, personal trainers, right? A lot of accountants, for example, self-employed people who essentially are the CEO and the janitor and the chief marketing officer and the salesperson. They're doing everything for themselves, okay? They have 0 leverage. Now, employees make up the vast majority of people as well, and employees are over-leveraged, right? Because what employees spend most of their time doing is trading time for money, but they're trading an inequitable amount of time for what's not really a reasonable or fair or frankly justifiable amount of money. How many of you would agree with that? Just go like this, that you know if you're an employee, chances are you're not really getting paid what you're worth, right? And the reality is that most employers, because they lack a lot of leverage, because they lack at employing leverage, right? Their employees do just enough to get by, and they pay them just enough so they don't leave. So what do business owners do? Business owners create systems and networks of people that essentially lend themselves to printing money, whether they're involved in the business or not involved in the business. So they create a cash flow producing asset based on systems and networks of people. Now, a lot of business owners will tell you that they have leverage because they have employees. The problem with that, and the problem with that argument, and they would agree to some degree if they're really willing to have the conversation, the problem is that employees will never care as much about your business as you do. Wouldn't you guys agree with that? You're just never going to care as much about your employer's business as they do. So there's not really true leverage. Network marketing changes the game completely for us as business owners, because what network marketing does is it puts us in a place to create true leverage. And why? Because in network marketing, everyone has equal amounts to gain. Everybody that you put into your organization has the ability to out-earn you. So for example, I'm just picking somebody out on my screen. Oh, there's my friend Laura. Hi, my spa buddy. Okay, so I see Laura on the screen, and I say to Laura, or Laura says to me, I want to start my own business, right? I have a lot of passion about it. Like, I'm really excited about it. And here's what I want to do. And I'm going to show her what that might look like. Okay, I'm going to show her that might look like in a moment. But coming back to not having or having leverage and how important it is let's say Laura says yes to Isagenix, okay, and she says yes to me, and we're working together or whatever. And for whatever reason, I decide that I've got to take some time away from the business. This year is actually a really good example of it. For those of you guys that don't know this, maybe we're following along on her social media journey. Eden hasn't worked for about 10 months this year. She had a pretty significant healing crisis due to an allergy that she experienced, and Eden didn't work for 10 months, okay? Now, in any traditional business, had Eden not been able to go into her store or her office or whatever it is for 10 straight months, there's a pretty good chance that that business would take a significant income hit. However, in network marketing, Eden has true leverage. Why? Because just because Eden was going through a healing crisis doesn't mean that Laura is going through a healing crisis. And since Laura is continuing to build her business, regardless of whether or not Eden shows up to develop her own business, Eden's business has the ability to grow. That's leverage. How many of you are hearing this in a new way for the first time or starting to think about this a little bit differently? Right? I really want you to start to think beyond the reality that we sell shakes and diet supplements and weight loss programs and blah, blah, blah. That's not what we do. Not from the opportunity side. From the opportunity side, we put people in a position to get to the right side of the quadrant faster than any other way that I know of. And here's the best analogy I can use. How many of you remember playing Nintendo, like original Nintendo back in the day? Just go like this, right? And do you remember for certain video games, certain games, there were secret codes that you could push into the remote, right? To like skip levels ahead. So it was like up, up, down, down, left, right, A, B, B, or something like that. And it would take you like 4 levels ahead. You guys remember that? Just go like this if you remember that, right? Okay, sweet. Okay. When done properly, when it comes to the world of entrepreneurship and success and wealth creation, network marketing is that code. So you didn't have to be an expert level video game player to punch in the code, but you could still get to the next level with the code. Network marketing is the same thing. You don't have to be an expert business person to capitalize on the brilliance of the business model. So here's the next part that's so important for you guys to understand. And this is, I think, what Lauren really wants me to show you is this. And I'll give you a little pro tip. Speaking of Robert Kiyosaki, he wrote a book called The Business of the 21st Century, where he talks about the cash flow quadrant specifically in relationship to network marketing. Highly recommend that book, The Business of the 21st Century. Okay, now, some people, I'm gonna show you one thing and then I'll show you another leverage example, okay? Some people, how many of you have friends that are in the real estate industry? You know, real estate agents, real estate brokers, things like that? Okay, so when you're showing them this, you could show them this. You could say, hey, look, network marketing is just like having a brokerage, okay? So I start a brokerage. You also do not have to be a good artist. Is that right in the spotlight? Can you guys see that? Let me just try and move that little guy. Is that better? Okay.
It's okay. Then you can see it, but you can still see the ink through it.
Sorry. I gotta figure out this lighting situation. I should have used resourceful. This will be better. By the way, this is a clue. Everyone we talk to, we draw it out. Everybody. Okay. All right. So here you are is that better? As a real estate broker, okay? So you're the broker, and in order to sell more houses, you take on a couple of agents, okay? And essentially, the way it works with a broker and a real estate agent is the broker is going to take care of a lot of things like advertising, marketing, office costs, things like that, right? Okay. And what they're going to do is they're going to say to the agent, hey, look, I'm going to give you a place to hold your license. I'm going to provide marketing, advertising, things like that. You're going to earn a percentage of the sale of the house. I'm going to earn a percentage of the sale of the house. Sound right? Right? Pretty standard. Insurance brokerages kind of work the same. The challenge, however, with the real estate brokerage model, and again, I just want you guys to start to really understand the business model of network marketing, why this makes so much sense and why it's so smart, and that's why I'm showing you these things, is let's say that this is Lauren, okay? And I hired Lauren as an agent, okay? And I train Lauren, and Lauren becomes one of my top agents. She's selling a crazy amount of houses, but she's only making a smaller percentage on the home sales. Why? Because she's sharing it with me. Well, a smart woman like Lauren is eventually going to start to ask herself the question of, well, wait a minute. If I were the broker, wouldn't I get to keep more of the money from the houses I was selling? It's a very logical question. So what's Lauren going to do? Lauren's going to quit my brokerage where I trained her. And what's she going to go do? She's going to go start her own. And what I've just done is I've effectively trained my competition. You guys following this? Whereas in network marketing, especially with our compensation plan, please get better than me. Please make more money than me. Please rank advanced faster than I do. Please do all those things. Because no matter what, I'm always going to get rewarded for helping you get better. Always. Okay, so that's how that's the real estate model. By the way, P.S. If you ever get the pyramid objection or whatever, show them this. Just show them the real estate brokerage model. Very simple. Okay, now going back to my spa buddy, Laura. Okay, Laura says, "Okay, Zach, you know what? I see all your posts on Facebook about creating freedom in your life and not working at a 9-to-5 anymore and being able to work from anywhere. And you know what? You've really inspired me. And I'm going to go and I'm going to start my own business selling rocks. Okay? I'm really passionate about them. I'm sourcing them from a very special place in the middle of the Sonoran Desert. They're one of a kind. They have healing properties. Like, I'm very excited about these things. And I'm going to say, great, Laura, would it be okay? Oh, you have some sturdy rocks. Would it be okay if I showed you, Laura, what you might be missing out on by not having leverage? Would it be okay if I showed you just logically and practically and pragmatically something you might be missing if you go out and start your rock company, as opposed to considering network marketing as your vehicle for time and financial freedom? Would it be okay if I showed you that? She's gonna say yes. I'm gonna say great. I'm gonna say, Laura, let me ask you a question. What's the most amount of hours that you could ever work in a single day? How many hours could you potentially work in a day? That's right, 24 hours in a day, okay? And how many days are there in a year? Meaning, what's the most amount of days you could possibly work in a year? 365 days, okay? So Laura, I want you to imagine, okay, that because you're so passionate about your rock business that you say, I'm gonna work 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. What that means is that the most amount of productivity that you can get paid on, because your time is worth something, right? Every hour is worth a certain amount of money. The most amount of productivity that you can get paid on is going to be about 8,760 hours of productivity. That's the most amount of productivity you can get paid on. Now, you can hire an employee, right? And maybe the employee works 8 hours a day with you or 16 hours a day with you, whatever it is. But Laura, would you agree that your employee is not going to care as much about your rocks as you do? Of course not. Okay. So Laura, again, I know you're really committed to building the rock business, but I think you're probably more committed to the time and financial freedom than anything else. So here's what I want to show you that you're missing without being a part of network marketing. So what I want you to imagine, Laura, is I want you to imagine that you grow your network marketing organization to about 2,000 people. Okay, 2,000 people. Now, to you, 2,000 people may sound like a lot of people or not like that many people, but either way, just stay with me because the numbers are simple and you're gonna really have a light bulb go off. Now, are you guys listening to how I'm framing every single thing that I'm saying to her, right? I'm letting her know what she's gonna be looking for, how I just told her she's gonna have a light bulb go off, right? I'm seeding, okay? I'm constantly seeding, right? So using Isagenix numbers, Laura, using Isagenix numbers, what we know is that 80% of the people that come to Isagenix come simply to use the products. They do not participate in the opportunity at all. Now, Laura, knowing that 80% of the people come for the products, watch this, everybody, what does that say about our products? And she's gonna say something like, they work. Exactly. So Laura, before I go on, doesn't it feel good knowing that 80% of the people that are going to come to you are going to come to you because they know that you're going to be able to deliver quality products that work? Doesn't it feel good knowing that? You guys see what I'm doing? Okay. So what that leaves us with is 20%, okay? 20% of your 2,000 person organization, and that's about 400 people, okay? So what we have is we have 400 people. We have 400 people who have decided that they want to either earn a part-time or full-time income with Isagenix alongside of you, okay? Laura, is it reasonable to ask a person who's wanting to create an extra $500 to $1,000 a month, is it reasonable to ask them to work just 1 hour a day on their part-time business? Is it reasonable to ask that? Sure, okay? So that's what we're gonna do. And now what you're gonna have is you're gonna have 400 people, okay, working 1 hour a day, which is 400 hours a day. So 400 hours a day still isn't as much as 8,760 hours a day. So now you're starting to think, well, maybe I should work 24 hours a day, 365, even though it's not even remotely viable. So now we have 400 people times an hour a day. But what happens when we amortize that over the course of the year? Now we have 400 people working 1 hour a day, 365 days a year. Now, thank you for that, Laura, you're getting paid on the productivity of 146,000 hours. To put it in perspective, Laura, it would take you working 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, it would take you a lot of rocks, but more importantly, from a time perspective, to get paid on this same amount of productivity, which you would get in 1 year, working 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, Laura, that would take you 16.6 years to get paid on that same level of productivity. So Laura, let me ask you a question. Would you rather earn 100% of your own efforts or 1% of 100 people's efforts? Which would you prefer? Great. So Laura, while I think we can both agree that the rocks are beautiful, I think based on what you shared with me about wanting to create time and financial freedom in your life, that maybe it's best that you be a customer of the rocks, but be in the business of leverage. What do you think? Now Laura's in. Guys, I could get a lot deeper into this, but I don't need to. If you're willing to sit down and have this conversation with people to help them understand that right now they're trading time for money, that right now, if they don't change what they're doing, then they will fulfill the prophecy of Warren Buffett, who says, if you do not find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until the day you die. And I don't know of too many other business models. And like I said, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 7 years old, and I've done it all. I've owned franchise, I've done real estate, I've done insurance, like you name it, I've done it. I don't know of something that makes more sense or can create more leverage, right, than network marketing. Oh, what did he even say? The genius has spoken. There you go. Another way those same numbers, 12 hours a day for over 33 years. There you go. So if you do it 12 hours a day, it would take 33 years to equal the productivity. That's a good one, babe. I don't know why we haven't been doing that. That's smart. That's much more relatable. Thanks. Great. Everybody, just so we're clear, I know that Lauren referred to me as a genius, but the truth of the matter is that Eden Slobin is the brains, the beauty, and the brawn of the entire operation. I just say things and hope that they sound good, but usually it's because she's pulling the string. Let's just be clear. Okay. So that's leverage. You should be having that conversation with every single person that expresses an interest in creating some additional money for themselves, whether it be $500 a month or $50,000 a month. Here's how much I love the word leverage. Here's how much Eden and I love the word leverage. We love the word leverage so much that our license plate, not the frame, not a sticker, our license plate says leverage. It says leverage. Now let me ask you guys a question. 2,000 people might sound very far away for you right now. But if it took 3 years, would it be worth it? If it took 5 years, would it be worth it? The reality is that anything less than 33 years would probably be worth it. So then the big question becomes, is how willing are you to stay stuck in to learning the skills, learning the processes, following a system to create that environment for yourselves? Are you willing is the big question. Because if not, oh, I wrote it on the whiteboard and erased it. If not, you're going to stay on the left-hand side of the quadrant. And if all you're doing is selling products and you're not asking people and you're not showing people how to get paid before their box arrives, then you're just going to be a glorified salesperson. And you're going to be stressed out, and this is going to get exhausting, and it's not going to be fun. But if you learn the skills of network marketing, and if you learn how to get people paid, and you start to position yourself to create an environment where your team is system dependent and not people dependent, and I'll explain what that means in a second, you'll create walk-away money. Now, walk-away money could be different for everybody. $3,000 a month for you right now, like just leverage, just every single month, might allow you to leave the job that you absolutely hate. I don't know what that freedom number is for you. But I do know that some of you are hurting yourselves because, and it's not your fault, just because you just don't really understand the brilliance of the business model. Because if you understood the brilliance of the business model, you would be solely focused on the sustainable, proven building principles of that business model. System dependent versus people dependent sounds like and looks like this. How many of you, type in the chat box, how many of you find yourselves constantly answering questions for people, doing things for your customers, doing things for your associates, posting on Facebook for them, going to Google for them? How many of you find yourselves doing a little bit more enabling than you know is probably healthy? Just go like this. Okay, thank you for a couple of you being honest all the time. Now, how do I know that you're doing that? Because I used to do it. I've been doing this a long time. Every single thing that you might be stuck in right now, I assure you, is something I've been stuck in the past. But here's the challenge. If you create an environment where everyone's dependent on you, you'll never have freedom. But if you create an environment where people are dependent on the system, then you can go take that holiday that you've worked hard for and not have to be on your phone the entire time. You can put yourself in a position to not have to work 18 hours a day. Reality about network marketing, when you do this properly, when you really stick to the principles, this is how it should look. And I'm grateful, and I feel so blessed by having had the mentors in my life that I had previous to Isagenix that taught me these things. But our income has increased, and the time that we work has decreased significantly. And that's because we understand leverage, and we don't sell shakes. It's very simple. If I told you how much I work on a week-to-week basis at this point in my career, you probably wouldn't believe me. And I'm not saying that it was easy to get here, and I'm not saying we didn't work our butts off for the first couple of years. But what we worked on, and the things that we worked on, were helping our team and helping everyone that we spoke with that was open to understanding that this was the fast track. This was the video game code to go from the left side of the quadrant to the right side of the quadrant for the people that want it. So anyway, I can keep going, but I feel like there might be questions, or maybe you're tired of me already. However long you want me to go, I'm happy to go. Like, I'll stay with you guys. You just tell me what you want.
We are not tired of you. This is so good. I'm going to have to send you some screenshots of just the gratitude and the takeaways we're getting. I have a little post in my business page. It's like, what are you getting? What are you loving from this? And it's already blowing up. So there's so much genius on here. I'm going to actually unmute so you guys can say goodnight to Zach and thank him and pour some love into him so he can hear you guys, because he also doesn't get it all the time. And it's amazing. So please send some love, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zach.
Thank you.
So much.
You're
Thank you,
awesome.
Zach. Thank you.
That was awesome.
Thank you, Zach, so much. You guys finish the week out strong, and I will do some lives for you on what I started up when I said I'll do at the end of the call. I know it's late on the East Coast, so I'll do some lives for you, and thank you so much, Zach.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for having me. Good night, everybody. Yeah, baby,
Fight
fight
back.
back. I love it. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.